Welcome to this helpful tips video for your final project. This is the final project for the course, and therefore the 4 questions cover material from the entire course. In this assignment, you are considering the hypothetical situation of Chipotle expanding into Turkey. Please make sure to base all your answers on course material. Please do not conduct a Google search to try to find your answers, but rather look for your answers in course material. Most of these types of questions you've already tackled in your previous 4 exams. None of this should be unfamiliar to you. In the first question, please discuss 3 of the most relevant cultural dimensions that would be important for Chipotle to consider. Cultural dimensions were discussed in Chapter 2, and you also tackled those in your first exam. You might visit Hofstede's website, the link is available on your As You Learn page, and plot the cultural dimensions of Turkey against the cultural dimensions of the US to get a better idea on how these two cultures differ. You're of course also welcome to use other cultural dimensions, not from Hofstede, but from Globe or Trompenaars or any of the other cultural dimensions discussed in Chapter 2. Here, please make sure to discuss 3 different cultural dimensions and explain why they are important for Chipotle to be aware of, and what the company might want to do in order to appropriately respond if they want to be successful in the Turkish market. The second question asks you to think about the institutional context and the business context. You've also done this already in your previous exams. The institutional context and the business environment are both discussed in Chapter 3. In Part A of Question 2, you are to think about one institutional context like social inequality, religion, education system, and think about how this context is different from the context in the US and why this would be important for Chipotle to know if they wanted to be successful in the Turkish market. The second part of Question 2 asks you to think about the business environment. This might include things like ease of doing business, level of economic freedom, economic system, stage of economic development. All of those apply to the business environment. Pick one and explain how it is different between the US and Turkey and why it would be important for Chipotle to be aware of that difference in the business environment. In Question 3, you're asked to recommend 2 things. The first, you're asked to recommend a multinational strategy. This was the focus of your third exam that focused on Target's entry into Canada. Which strategy would you recommend Chipotle use in their entry to Turkey? A transnational, an international, a regional, or a multi-domestic strategy? Support your answer in detail to explain why you think this would be the most important or most effective strategy for Chipotle to adapt. The second part of your question asks, or the second part of Question 3 asks you to think about mode of entry. We've discussed different modes of entry in Chapter 6. Those included foreign direct investment, export, different international alliances like joint ventures. Think about the mode of entry that would be most suitable for Chipotle to use when entering the Turkish market. Again, this is a hypothetical situation. Turkey is not currently doesn't have any Chipotle restaurants. This is a hypothetical situation to get you to apply course material to a real life scenario. The fourth question asks you to make 2 additional recommendations, things that Chipotle's leaders should be aware of when entering the Turkish market. The only stipulation in question 4 is that it cannot repeat any of the things you've already discussed in questions 1, 2, or 3. You cannot discuss culture or the institutional context variable or the business environment variable that you discussed in question 2, or strategy or mode of entry. It can discuss anything else from course material that should be important for Chipotle to consider. Again, please do not use Google to try to find your answers. Make sure your answers are based on course material. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Also note that the due date is at 5 p.m. on August 5th. The due date is 5 p.m. on August 5th. I have 72 hours to complete the grading, and I will not be able to accommodate any late submissions given the short deadline for summer courses. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me over email if you have questions about this final project. Remember, it is worth 20% of your course grade and should be given significant attention.